Yes, I hope I'm audible now. Yeah, I hope I'm audible now and sound, and I'm audible and screen is visible. Correct, correct. Okay. Okay, so today let us start with clustering part 2, and in that we'll be starting with the agglomerative clustering. Okay, so in that we'll be starting with the hierarchical clustering. Yeah, and in hierarchical clustering we have two types of clustering. Okay, so we have agglomerative clustering and divisive clustering. ठीक है, correct. We have agglomerative clustering and divisive clustering. Okay, done. चलिए तो here till in the last class we have covered the k-meanoid, okay, k-means and k-means plus, right? And that was more based on the partition based clustering. Okay, that was more based on the partition based clustering. This method of clustering, that is more based on the hierarchical clustering, where a tree like structure is formed. Okay, where a tree like structure is formed. Okay, so you can just write the heading, as hierarchical clustering. Okay, you can write the heading as hierarchical clustering, and it is a technique, no, that builds hierarchy of clusters. Okay, it is a technique that builds hierarchy of clusters. Okay, it is a technique that built hierarchy of clusters. Now I'll just give you an example. Okay, I'll just give you an example. For example, yeah, for example, okay, for example, I want to build a recommendation system. Okay, for example, you'll just see, okay, where actually this hierarchical clustering is used. For example, I want to build a recommendation system. Okay, now for example, I went to the for example JioMart, okay, for buying certain fruits. I went to JioMart for buying certain fruits, and there I just bought an app. I saw an apple, a banana, a cherry, and a grape. Okay, I saw these fruits. Okay, for example, I just went to a JioMart. Okay, and there I saw an apple, banana, cherry, and grape. Right? अच्छा, अब आपको करना क्या है? What you want to do, that you want to give the recommendation. ठीक है, बेसिकली व्हाट यू वांट टू डू, यू वांट टू गिव द रिकमेंडेशन कि मान लीजिए इफ आई बॉट एन एप्पल, देन व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वुड बी रिकमेंडेड टू मी. ओके, आई होप यू आर गेटिंग दिस. इफ आई बॉट अ बनाना, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वुड बी रिकमेंडेड टू मी. इफ आई बॉट अ चेरी, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वुड बी रिकमेंडेड टू मी. तो दैट रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम आई हैव टू डिजाइन. ठीक है, that recommendation system I have to design. अब देखो वो बनता कैसे, let us see how that is made. अब जैसे for example I bought an apple. ठीक है, an apple, yeah, then I had a banana. Okay, then I had a banana. Okay, then cherry and grape. Okay, then we have cherry and then we have grape. Okay, अब now if my similarity criterion is weight, okay, for example if my similarity criterion is weight of the fruit. Okay, if my similarity criterion is weight of the fruit, so apple weighs 100 grams, for example an apple weighs 100 grams. Okay, for example an apple weighs 100 gram. Okay, banana weighs 120 grams, right? And what is the weight of cherry? Cherry weighs 50 grams. Okay, and a grape. ओके, एंड अ ग्रेप कितना वे करता है? ग्रेप वेज 30 ग्राम. ठीक है, ग्रेप वेज 30 ग्राम. तो I have assumed, okay, I am a, for example, you are a data scientist and you want to recommend, okay, you want to recommend certain fruits, okay, based on the behavior of the customer that he is buying, okay, on the based on the customer, okay, what he is buying. अब जैसे मान लीजिए कि आप जियो मार्ट में गए and you just bought an apple, ठीक है, अब एप्पल खरीदा, अब now what next, बिल्कुल आपका नेक्स्ट रिकमेंडेशन क्या होगा, what would be the next recommendation that would be recommended, okay. तो अब जैसे अगर मैं अगर वेट के बेसिस पे इफ आई जस्ट recommend build a recommendation system based on the weight, तो अब यहां पर क्या होगा, what would happen here, apple and banana would be clubbed into a single cluster, okay, they would be clubbed into a single group or single cluster, okay, apple and banana, they would be clubbed into a single cluster or single group, okay. अच्छा, और cherry and grape they would be clubbed into a single group, ठीक है. अच्छा, अब this is a graph where the elements are present, okay, in the x-axis all the elements are present, and here we have the cost, okay, here we have the cost. अच्छा, अब what exactly cost is, I'll tell you, अब मैं आपको बताऊंगा what exactly cost is, I'll tell you how to decide that cost factor, ठीक है. यहाँ पे what I've done is I have bought cherry and grape as into a one cluster. मतलब what does it mean? It means that if I bought a grape, तो I would be recommended a cherry. If I bought a grape, then they would recommend me a cherry. और अगर मैं बनाना लेता हूँ तो they would recommend me apple, okay, and vice versa. एप्पल लिया तो बनाना रिकमेंड होगा, और बनाना लिया तो एप्पल रिकमेंड होगा, ठीक है. चेरी लिया तो ग्रेप रिकमेंड होगा, ग्रेप लिया तो चेरी रिकमेंड होगा, ओके. तो these would be recommended to me as the immediate recommendation, okay, as the immediate recommendation. अच्छा, चलिए, अब now I would be clubbing this again into a big basket, okay. I would be clubbing this again into a big basket. So I can just name the this basket as fruit, okay. I can just name the big basket as fruit. I can just name this, the smaller one, the small basket, I can name it as, yeah, I can name it as weight of fruits less than 50 grams, okay. I can just name this basket as weight of the fruits less than 50 gram, and this basket as weight greater than 50 grams, okay, weight greater than 50 grams. So now this is a recommendation system, okay, or that has been built there, okay. This is the recommendation system that has been built there. Ab based on the customer buying tendency, automatically the respective elements would be suggested to you, and as I told you, it is seen that the indirectly 50% profit is actually actually comes from the recommendation system that is designed. So more the accurate recommendation system is, more the profit the company would be gaining, okay, the organization would be gaining, okay. So this is all about, or this is just an example of how the recommendation systems is designed, okay, using hierarchical clustering, okay. Now I can just give you one more example, okay. I'll just give you one more example. For example, I want to design the recommendation system based on based on the cost, okay, based on the cost, okay. I want to design a recommendation system based on the cost. Now I'll just tell you, I'll ask you, tell me the cost of apple, banana, cherry and grape, okay. Just tell me the cost of this on a comparable basis. For example, a kg of apple, a kg of banana, a kg of cherry and grape. Please everyone write it. So what would be the cost of this? Yes, what is the cost? Hanji, what would be the cost? Yes, I need cost from your side. What, how much is the cost of apple? For example, apple, I think the cost is around 250 kg. Okay, 250 rupees, no? 250 rupees per kg. I think the cost of apple is 250 rupees per kg, right? And what should be the cost of cherry? Yes, any guesses from your side? The cost of cherry, कितना होगा cherry का cost? Okay, tell me the cost of cherry and grape. Banana ka I think that is 60 rupees per kg. Okay, 60 rupees per kg. What is the cost of cherry? Any guesses from your side? Okay, okay, so I can just assume cherry as 150. Okay, I can assume cherry as 150 rupees per kg. And what should be the cost of grape? I think grape could be, yeah, what should be the cost of grape? I think we can assume grape as 100 rupees. Okay, I can assume as 100 rupees per kg. Okay, now if I want, yeah, now if I want to draw a recommendation system based on what? Based on the cost. Okay, this was what was the criterion here? Criterion was here, what was the criterion? Criterion was weight here. Okay, what was the criterion? Criterion was weight. Here what is the criterion? So criterion is what? Criterion is cost. Now if I want to build a recommendation system based on the cost, so that means firstly I can club apple and cherry. Okay, I can club apple and cherry. Okay, and then next what I can club is I can club grape and banana. Okay, then next what I can club is I can club grapes and banana. So guys, the point is we have to actually judge the behavior. Okay, the point is that we have to actually judge the behavior of the customer. Okay, we have to judge the behavior of the customer. अब जैसे जो लोग महंगे फ्रूट लेंगे, I just for an example, जो लोग महंगे फ्रूट लेंगे, एप्पल भी लेगा तो चेरी भी ले सकता है. ठीक है. अब इफ अ मिडिल क्लास पर्सन गोज टू अ डी मार्ट, मिडिल क्लास पर्सन जो कि अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता, तो आई डोंट थिंक ही वुड टेक एप्पल और चेरी. ही वुड गो फॉर बनाना एंड ग्रेप्स. ओके, ही वुड गो फॉर बनाना एंड ग्रेप्स. तो मतलब दिस इज हाउ द रिकमेंडेशन सिस्टम्स हैव मेजर नंबर ऑफ क्राइटेरियंस बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट आई कैन क्लब देम. ओके, बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट आई कैन क्लब देम बेस्ड ऑन देयर कॉस्ट. Okay, I can club them based on their cost. So basically this is the fundamental of hierarchical clustering, where we have to club individual elements. Okay, here there is no partitioning. I mean, in a group we aren't partitioning. Okay, we are not partitioning or removing group 1. Okay, number of elements for group 1. No, we don't do this. What we do is we try to actually club individual elements. I hope आपने देखा होगा, yeah, I hope आपने देखा होगा कि for example जैसे कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपने देखा होगा कि when you buy a t-shirt, okay, फ्लिपकार्ट में और Amazon में when you buy a t-shirt, similar items are recommended. Okay, certain similar items are recommended there. Okay, certain similar items are recommended. So basically what is that? That is a part of hierarchical clustering. मतलब वहां पर partitioning नहीं होती है. वहां पर क्या होता है, अगर आपने एक शर्ट लिया तो टी शर्ट आपको वहां पर एज अ रिकमेंडेशन मिल जाएगा. अगर मान लीजिए आपने एक जीन्स लिया तो एज अ पैंट आपको रिकमेंडेशन मिल जाएगा. तो बेसिकली देयर hierarchical clustering is majorly used. Okay, yes, विशाल सही कह रहे हो, वो 500 ग्राम्स भी ले सकता है. वो आप सही कह रहे हो, ये भी हो सकता है. मैंने तो जस्ट एक छोटा एग्जांपल दिया कि इफ फॉर अ पर्सन, मतलब इफ आई एम जस्ट ग्रुपिंग देम बेस्ड ऑन दी कॉस्ट, तो शायद ये वाला क्राइटेरियन काम कर सकता है, क्योंकि मेरे को तो क्या प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बढ़ानी है, तो एक मैंने ये भी क्राइटेरियन इसमें रख दिया है ना. वो सही कह रहे हो सकता है. ठीक है, तो बस मैं आपको ये बताना चाह रहा था कि दैट ग्रुपिंग इज डन नो बेस्ड ऑन देयर cost. Okay, and here I can just write, okay, here what I can do is I can just write fruits above 250 kg. ओके, तो या फिर कुछ भी इस बास्केट का मैं कुछ भी नाम दे सकता हूँ. एनी नेम आई कैन गिव टू दिस बास्केट. ऐसे कह लो अमीरों के फ्रूट, गरीबों के फ्रूट, जस्ट फॉर एन एग्जांपल, नो, जस्ट फॉर एन एग्जांपल. तो ऐसा करके कुछ भी आप इसको नाम दे सकते हो, है ना. एंड इन दैट नेम जो भी आप लेने जाओगे एक एलिमेंट, उसके साथ वाला एलिमेंट आपको वहां पर रिकमेंड कर देगा. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से मतलब we can group this. Okay, तो इसका जो बड़ा बास्केट है, the name of this is fruits. Okay, here cost greater than 250 per kg. Okay, 250 per kg, and here it is less than 100 per kg. तो इस तरीके से नाम कर लो, कुछ और नाम दे दो. ओके, तो ऐसे चलता है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ द हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग वर्क्स. अब देखेंगे यहाँ पर डेफिनेशन एक बार देख लेते हैं. तो हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग स्टार्ट्स बाय ट्रीटिंग ईच फ्रूट एज इट्स ओन ग्रुप. ओके, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. तो इट स्टार्ट्स बाय treating each fruit as its own group. It then merges the closest groups based on their weights. Okay, and first the cherry and grape are grouped together because they are the lightest. Next the apple and banana would be grouped together because they are heavier in weight, है ना. तो इस तरीके से this is how hierarchical clustering is hierarchical clustering model is built. Okay, hierarchical clustering model is built. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग होता है. फाइनली ऑल द फ्रूट्स आर मर्ज्ड इनटू वन लार्ज ग्रुप, शोइंग हाउ हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग प्रोग्रेसिवली कंबाइंस द मोस्ट सिमिलर डेटा पॉइंट्स. ओके, तो हाउ हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग प्रोग्रेसिवली कंबाइंस द मोस्ट सिमिलर डेटा पॉइंट्स. ओके, तो बस ये चीज है यहाँ पे. ओके, तो यहाँ पर बस ये चीज है. ठीक है, चलिए. अब now we have two types of hierarchical clustering. Okay, now we have two types of hierarchical clustering. So the first hierarchical clustering is two types of hierarchical clustering. Okay, two types of hierarchical clustering. Okay, so we have two types of hierarchical clustering. The first one is agglomerative. Okay, and the second one is divisive. Okay, the first one is agglomerative, the second one is divisive. Agglomerative is which is bottom to top. Okay, it is also known as bottom to top. Okay, and what is divisive? It is top to bottom. Okay, what is divisive? This is top to bottom. ठीक है, divisive is known as top to bottom. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पर एक important चीज आती है, that is linkage. Okay, so we have linkage. What is linkage? It is how we measure the distance between two clusters when deciding which clusters to merge. So just wait for a question. The definition and the fundamental of linkage would get clear. Okay, and we have two types of linkage. So the first one is single linkage and the second is complete linkage. Okay, and one more type of linkage we'll study, that is average linkage. Okay, that is average linkage. So in the diagram, if I want to represent what exactly linkage is, so this is how apple and banana, why apple is merged with banana, why apple is merged with banana, so that means this is a linkage here. Okay, so this is because of the linkage. Why apple is linked with banana? Because we used a certain type of linkage. Okay, we use a certain type of linkage. For example, if we used single linkage, then apple is merged with banana. For example, if I would have used complete linkage, then apple would have merged with cherry, okay, or grape. So matlab that depends. So we'll study. Okay, we'll just study this, ki what exactly the linkage is and what is the meaning, okay, or significance of the word linkage. Okay, but we'll be studying three types of linkage. Those are single linkage, that is known as minimum linkage. Okay, and then complete, that is also known as maximum linkage, and the next one is average linkage. Okay, this is known this is the average linkage. And linkage basically measures the distance between the two clusters. And what is the distance between two clusters? That means cost. Okay, that means cost. So it measures to it tells us that how should we measure the cost between any two elements, okay, or any two clusters, any two elements or any two clusters. So that is the major work of that is the major work of linkage. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे as I told you कि we have hierarchical clustering is of two types, agglomerative and divisive. ठीक है, चलिए. अब dendrogram, I'll just tell you how to use a dendrogram. Okay, अब now firstly let us start with an example. Okay, let us start with an example. Okay, then gradually I'll explain you each and everything. Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, Uddhav, let us start with an example first. हाँ, these all are the same thing. हाँ, one and the same thing, correct. Multiple, double, complete, ये एक ही बात होता है बेटा. These all are the same thing. ठीक है, सिंगल इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम कंप्लीट एंड कंप्लीट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम एवरेज, है ना, तो ये सब तो सेम ही होता है। ठीक है, चलिए अब नाउ these are the elements, okay, these p1 p2 p3 p4 p5, these are the elements and this is the cost matrix that is given. ठीक है, this is the cost matrix that is given. Okay, so you would be given this cost matrix. Okay, you would be given a cost matrix and he says form following distance matrix. Yeah, cost matrix or distance matrix, one and the same thing. Okay, it is cost matrix or distance matrix, one and the same thing. Ab now what he says, form the clusters using agglomerative clustering method using single linkage and complete linkage. Okay, using single linkage and complete linkage. अब जैसे यहाँ पे I would start with the single linkage. ठीक है, what I'll do is I would start with the single linkage. ठीक है, I would start with the single linkage. Again I'll draw, yeah, again I'll draw the table. Okay, again I'll draw the table. Okay, so I have a total of, yeah, 5 elements. No, I have a total of 5 elements. Okay, so here I have p1 p2 p3 p4 and p5. Similarly here also I have p1 p2 p3 p4 and p5. Okay, so we have a total of 5 elements. चलिए, अब now only a lower triangular matrix or an upper matrix is made. Okay, तो मतलब for better understanding only we would make a lower triangular matrix or a upper triangular matrix. Okay, and what does this numeral means? So the numeral suggests that the distance between p1 and p2 is 9. Okay, the cost between p1 and p3 is 3, or distance or cost, one and the same thing. The distance between p1 p4 is 6, p1 p5 11. So likewise we have all these distances given here. Okay, so we have this distance 9, we have 3, we have 6, 11. Okay, then we have 10, we have 2, 8. ठीक है, तो इस तरीके से these distances or costs are given. Okay, and now we have to start with single linkage method. So in the single linkage method you have to learn this, what I'll do is I would be seeing the minimum cost. Okay, I would be seeing the minimum cost. So what is the minimum cost here? Minimum cost is 2. So that means I would be firstly, okay, that means in the initial stage what I'll do is I would be firstly clubbing p3 and p5. Okay, so what I'll do is I would be firstly clubbing p3 and p5. So I would again draw the second table, right? I would again, yeah, draw the second table and I would be clubbing p3 and p5 in the first iteration. Okay, so this is p1, this is p2. Now I club p3 and p5 and this is p4. Okay, similarly p1, this is p2, where I in the next I club p3 and p5 and this is p4, because 2 is the least one, है ना? यहाँ पर we have the least one as 2, the least cost as 2. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पर the distance between, yeah, so I'll just write it here. I'll just draw firstly the distance between p1 that is 0, of course, that I'll put as 0. This is 0, this is 0, this is 0. Okay, अब now distance between p1 p2 as it is I'll put it as 9. Distance between p1 p4 as it is I'll put it as 11. Then distance between yeah, p2 p4, that is 10, as it is I'll put it as 10. Okay, now there are certain distances that are left here. So up now we have to calculate the distance of p1. Okay, we have to calculate the distance of p1 from p3 and p5. Okay, just concentrate here, right? We have to calculate distance of p1 from p3 and p5. So what is distance of p1 from p3? That is 3 here. Okay, distance of p1 from p3, that is 3 here, and distance of p1 from p5, that is 11. So now here we have to select the minimum one, because this is single linkage. Okay, because I'm using single linkage, I would be selecting the minimum one. Okay, so I would be selecting here what? I would be selecting here 3. Okay, so p1 p3 is 3, p1 p5 is 11. So since I'm using single linkage, I would be selecting here 3. ठीक है, 5 कहाँ पे है बेटा? 5 p2 p4, हाँ p2, अच्छा p2 p4 is 5. Okay, 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 yes, 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 correct, सही कह रहे हो, सही कह रहे हो, सही कह रहे हो, ठीक कह रहे हो, करेक्ट है. आई थिंक रेस्ट इज करेक्ट, नो? हाँ, रेस्ट इज करेक्ट. p2 p4 is 5. हाँ ठीक है बेटा, आई थिंक रेस्ट इज करेक्ट. डन, ठीक है. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे after this I have to select the minimum distance of P2 from P3 and P5. Okay, minimum distance of P2 from P3 and P5. So what is that minimum distance of P2 from P3 and P5? So P2 to P3, distance between P2 to P3, this is 7. Distance between P2 to P5, this is 10. Okay, P2 to P5, that is 10. P2 to P3, that is 7. So how, yeah, so what shall be the minimum one? What shall be the minimum one? So minimum one would be 7. Okay, what shall be the minimum one? So minimum one would be 7. Okay, the distance between P2 and P3, this would be 7. Okay, then again I have to check between P4. Yeah, I have to check between P4 from P3 and P5. Okay, P4 from P3 and P5. So distance of P4 from P3 from P4, this is 9, and P4 from P5, this is 8. ठीक है, तो what is the lowest one? तो lowest one is 8 here. So I'll just put here 8. Okay, P1 P4 भी 6 है. अच्छा, ठीक. P1 P4 भी 6 है. ठीक है, P1 P4 भी 6 है ना. तो this is the updated iteration. Okay, updated cost matrix where I have clubbed P3 and P5. Okay, where I have clubbed P3 and P5. Acha, अब now what is the next step? I have to select the minimum from here. Okay, what is the next step? I have to select minimum from here. So what is the minimum one? So minimum one is 3 here. Okay, so what is the minimum one? Minimum one is 3 here. Okay, now I would be clubbing what? I would be clubbing P1 with P3 and P5. ठीक है, अब मैं क्या करूंगा? I would be clubbing P1 with P3 and P5. So in the next iteration, okay, in the next iteration what I'll do is I would be clubbing P1 with P3 and P5. Okay, then I would have P2 and here I would have P4. Similarly here also P1 with P3 and P5, here I have P2 and here I have P4. Okay, and the distances here are 0 0 0. Ab now I have to find the distance of P2 from P1. Okay, P2 from P1, okay, from P3 and from P5. The P2 from P1, P3 and P5. Now let me check the distance of P1 from P2. This is 9 3. Okay, so yeah, so distances are 9. P2 to P3, P1, yeah, so P1 to P2 is 9, or P2 to P3, that is 7. Okay, P2 to P3, this is 7. And what is P2 to P5? P2 to P5, this is 10. Okay, so now the minimum of 9 7 10, so here I would write 7. Okay, similarly I would be checking the distance of P4 from P1, P3 and P5. Okay, from P1, P3 and P5. So now let me check. Yeah, P4 to P1, P4 to P3, P4 to P5, P4 to P1, P4, yeah, P1 to P4, that is 6. Okay, P1 to P4, this is 6. P1 to P4, this is 6. Okay, then P3 to P4, yeah, P3 to P4, this is 9. Okay, and P4 to P5, P4 to P5, this is 8. Okay, this is 8. Okay, 6 9 8. So now minimum of 6 9 8, this is 6. So I'll just put it here 6. Okay, and distance of P2 to P4, what is distance of P2 to P4? That is 5 here. So I'll just put 5 here. Okay, now I think everything is correct. No, yeah, all clear, done. P2 to P4 is 5. ठीक है, अब minimum out of this, yeah, minimum out of this. So what is the minimum out of this? So minimum out of this is 5. Okay, so now I would be clubbing P2 and P4. Okay, now what I'll do is I would be clubbing P2 and P4. ठीक है, चलो club कर लेते हैं P2 और P4 को. तो I have, yeah, I have P1, P3 and P5 here, and I would club P2 and P4. Similarly here also P1, P3, P5, and I would be clubbing P2 and P4. Okay, now I have to check the minimum distance. Now I have to check the minimum distance. So I have P2, P4, and here P1, P3 and P5. So I have to check P2 to P1, P3, P5, and P4 to P1, P3 and P5. So what is the distance between P1 to P2? P1 to P2, that is 9 here. Okay, distance between P1 to P2, that is 9. P2 to P3, P2 to P3, this is 7. P2 to P5, yes, P2 to P5, this is 10. Okay, chaliye P1 to P4, P1 to P4, this is 6. Okay, P1 to P4 is 6. P4 to P3, yeah, P3 to P4, this is 9. Okay, and P4 to P5, P4 to P5, that is 8. Now what is the minimum one? So minimum among this is what? It is 6. Okay, so the last, yeah, the last matrix would be, or the last clubbing would be done at a cost of what? At a cost of 6. Okay, the last clubbing would be done at a cost of 6 here. So I would just club all the elements here. Okay, I would just club all the elements here, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, and here also we have P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. Okay, and it would be clubbed, okay, at a cost of 6. So this is the distance, last distance I would be clubbing. Okay, and I would be getting here 0. So when I reach a 0 here, okay, just make a note of it. Whenever I'll reach a 0 here at the cost matrix, that means I have to stop the process. जैसे ही मेरे को 0 मिल जाएगा, whenever I'll get a 0 here, okay, I have nothing to club. That means I have to stop the process. Okay, that means I have to stop the process. ठीक है guys, correct. तो इस तरीके से we do this. ठीक है, इस तरीके से we club it. Okay, अब देखें, अब देखते हैं यहाँ पे. See, now next is I'll just write at what cost I clubbed which all elements, है ना? At what cost I clubbed which all elements. So in the first, yeah, in the first clubbing, no, first grouping. So first group was made between which all elements? So first group was made between which all elements? So elements P2 and P3 and P5. Yes. So first group was made between P3 and P5. Okay, P3 and P5. Yes. So it was made between P3 and P5 and at a cost of what? At a cost of 2. Okay, then second grouping was made between P1 and P3, P5 at a cost of 3. Second grouping, okay, second group was made between P1, P3 and P5. Okay, P1, P3, P5 at a cost of 3. Okay, then third group was made between what? It was made between P2 and P4 at a cost of 5. Okay, P2 and P4 at a cost of 5. And fourth group was made between what? It was made between P1, P2, P3 and along with P2 and P4. Okay, so P1, P2, P3, then we had P2 and P4 at a cost of 6. Now if I want to make a dendrogram, okay, now what I want is I want to make a dendrogram. Okay, so what is a dendrogram? Dendrogram is nothing, it is basically a tree-like structure. Okay, now I want to make a dendrogram. I'll just give you the definition of dendrogram. What is a dendrogram? It is nothing, it is a tree-like structure. Okay, so it is a tree-like structure that gives us the data points, no, in which order they are grouped step by step during hierarchical clustering. Okay, in which order, yeah, they are grouped step by step in the hierarchical clustering. Okay, in which order they are grouped step by step in the hierarchical clustering. So that is a dendrogram. Okay, so I want to just make a tree-like structure, right? Now how to make this tree-like structure? Very simple. Okay, very simple. So yes, firstly, yeah, cost is 6, no? So I have written what? ठीक तो it is 6 only, no? ठीक है. Now which all elements have been grouped initially? So initially P3 was grouped with P5. Okay, initially P3 was grouped with P5 at a cost of what? At a cost of 2. Okay, so initially P3 was grouped with P5 at a cost of what? At a cost of 2. Then after that, what I would group? I would group P1. Okay, now after that, what I would group? I would group P1 at a cost of what? At a cost of 3. Okay, after this, what I would group? I would group P1 at a cost of 3. Now after that, what I would group? I would group P2 and P4. Okay, now I'll group P2 and P4. Okay, at a cost of what? At a cost of 5. Okay, I would group P2 and P4 at a cost of 5. Then after that I would be grouping this, okay, at a cost of what? At a cost of 6. So this is how the dendrogram would be. Okay, this is how the dendrogram would be. Okay, so here dendrogram has the first group between P3 P5 at a cost of 2, then P3 P5 clubbed with P1 at a cost of 3, then P2 P4 at a cost of 5, and then again I mean a big basket where all the elements are clubbed. Okay, so where all the elements are clubbed. Okay, so this is how dendrogram looks like. Okay, this is how dendrogram looks like. Okay. Yeah, fourth group is between P1, P2, P3, P4 and P5. Yes, correct. It is between, yeah, this group is what? No, this group is P1, P3, P5, and what is this group? This group is P2 and P4. So when I would be clubbing, so I would be getting P1, P3, P5 along with P2 and P4. I hope you are getting this, no? Sidhu, I hope you are getting this. Okay, चलिए अब यहाँ पर now I'll just give you an example. I'll just give you an example. I'll just give you an example. Very simple example. Now, for example, I just name this P2 as jeans. Okay. For example, I just go to Flipkart or Amazon. Okay. Yes. I go to Flipkart और Amazon. ठीक है, अब जैसे मान लीजिए कि जो P2 है, मान लीजिए वो P2 जो है जीन्स है, आई एम जस्ट नेमिंग एन एपरल. ओके, एंड P4 वुड बी व्हाट? तो बेस्ड ऑन दिस, ओके, बेस्ड ऑन द ग्रुपिंग व्हाट आई हैव मेड, इफ आई वांट टू नेम दीज एपरल्स, ठीक है, मान लीजिए मुझे इन एपरल्स को नाम देना है. I want to name these apparels. For example, these apparels belongs to a Flipkart. मुझे खरीदना है ना? Okay, Flipkart मुझे खरीदना है. I want to buy certain apparels. ठीक है, मुझे खरीदना है. अब now I want to name these apparels. तो अगर for your understanding, तो how can I name these apparels? I can name these apparels as, जैसे मान लीजिए कि P1. What can be P1? I think P1 can be shirt. Okay, P1 I can name it as shirts. Okay, what can be P3? P3 is just because firstly we clubbed what? P3 and P5. Okay, so firstly we clubbed what? P3 and P5. So if I name P3 as shirts, so what can be the immediate recommendation? So I think P5 can be named as t-shirts. Okay, I think this is the immediate recommendation. I hope you are getting this. This is what? This is the immediate recommendation. है ना? P3, if P3 is shirt, P5 can be named as t-shirt. ठीक है? अच्छा, अब now what P1 can be named as? I think P1 can be named as coat. Okay, I can name this as coat. Okay, coat pant, or I mean some coat or jacket. I can name this as a jacket. Okay, so I can just name this as a jacket. Okay, now if you just see, after clubbing P1, P3, P5, I clubbed P2 and P4. Just for an understanding, I'm giving this. I clubbed P2 and P4. Matlab, from here I can say that P2 could be what? P2 could be jeans, and P4 could be what? P4 could be pants here, because P2 and P4 are forming a complete separate group. Okay, P2 and P4 are forming a complete separate group. Okay, P2 and P4 are forming a complete separate group. Okay, P2 and P4 are forming a complete separate group. So iska matlab, if I just name this here P3 as what? P3 was named as shirts. Okay, so what immediate recommendation Flipkart would be showing to me? Flipkart would be showing immediate recommendation as t-shirts. Okay, now if I buy shirt or t-shirt, so along with shirt, what else recommendation, immediate recommendation it would be showing me? So it would be showing me jackets. Okay, immediate recommendation would be coming as jackets. Okay, अच्छा, if you buy shirt, he won't be showing you jeans. आप समझ रहे हैं? If you buy t-shirt, he won't be showing you jeans. If you buy jackets, then he might be showing you jeans. Okay, so what is P2? P2 क्या था? हाँ, P2 था jeans. So P2 is named as jeans and P4 is named as pants. Okay, P2 is named as jeans and P4 is named as pants. तो मतलब see, just understand, using single, देखो what is my aim? My aim is to increase the profitability of Flipkart. मेरा काम क्या है? मेरे को बढ़ानी है profitability of Flipkart. Accurate से accurate recommendation दूं तो Flipkart में जितने भी बंदे आ रहे हैं वो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा खरीदे, so that I can increase the profitability. अब for that what I'll do is, if I name P3 as shirt, okay, तो immediate recommendation would be what? It would be t-shirt, and it has the lowest cost. I think you are getting the meaning of this lowest cost. I hope अब आपको समझ में आ रहा है what this cost means, what is the significance of this cost. Okay, अच्छा, इसके बाद this is clubbed with jackets at what cost? At a cost of 3. I hope now you're able to get this, what this cost means. So this is a measure of dissimilarity. ठीक है, ये क्या चीज है? इट इज अ मेजर ऑफ डिसिमिलरिटी. कितना डिसिमिलर है दूसरा आइटम. ठीक है, कितना डिसिमिलर है दूसरा आइटम. देन इफ आई वांट टू बाय अ जैकेट, देन व्हाट वुड बी द इमीडिएट रिकमेंडेशन? ईदर टी शर्ट और जीन्स, बिकॉज दे ऑल्सो लाई हियर. ओके, बिकॉज जैकेट्स इज एट अ डिसिमिलरिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ 2 and this is at a dissimilarity cost of 1. So that means if I buy jackets, I would be recommended what? I would be recommended either t-shirts or jeans. And if I buy jeans, I would be recommended what? I would be recommended pants, because they are at a very less, they are at a very I mean these are the immediate recommendations. Okay, they are the immediate recommendations. So basically this is what the this dissimilarity means. Okay, this is what the cost signify. Okay, this is what the cost signify. Okay, I hope these things are clear to you. Okay, just draw it once. I'll wait for certain minutes. Just draw them. Okay, chaliye. Now let us start with some yeah, one more question that we have, that is we have to solve it with complete linkage. Okay, so this we have done with single linkage. Now we have to do this with complete linkage. Okay, now let's see how to do this with complete linkage. Okay, very simple, not at all a big deal here. Okay, we just have to remember one thing. Okay, in the complete linkage we just have to remember one thing, very simple, not at all a big deal. So for complete linkage I'll just draw the table again. Okay, for complete linkage I'll just draw the table again. 093611. Yeah, 093611. Then 7510 928. Okay, 7510 928. ठीक है, चलिए. Okay, अब in the complete linkage there is just a bit I mean a slight difference. Okay, a minute difference is there, nothing much to okay by heart here, very minute difference is there. Okay, see, firstly what we'll do is we'll select the lowest one. Okay, firstly what we'll do is we'll select the lowest one, right? So here we selected the lowest one and we have clubbed what? Yeah, we have clubbed. So we have clubbed what? P3 and P5. In the initial one we have clubbed P3 and P5. This is P2, then yeah, this is P3 and P5, and here this is P4. Similarly P1, okay, this is P2, and we have P3 and P5, and similarly we have P4. Okay, and I'll just write here this is 0 0 0. Okay, and distance between P1 P2, this is 9. Distance between P1 P4, that is 6. Distance between P2 P4, this is 5. And yeah, distance between, correct. Okay, so this we have written. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to find the distance from P1 to P3 and P5. Okay, P1 to P3 and P5. So guys, you just remember here that here distance between P1 to P3 is 3 and P1 to P5 is 11. So instead of taking the minimum one, I would be taking the maximum one. Okay, instead of taking minimum one, I would be taking the maximum one. So this is what complete linkage is all about. Okay, so initially I'll start with the lowest one. Then when I have to merge the cluster, when I have to merge the cluster, okay, then I would take the maximum one. Okay, when I have to merge the cluster, okay, different objects in the cluster, then I have to take the maximum one. ठीक है, फिर से देख लेते हैं. अब distance between P2 to P3 and P5. तो distance between P2 to P3 and P5, तो ये P2 है. Okay, this is P3 and this is P5. Okay, अब P2 to P3 distance is what? P2 to P3 distance is 7, and yeah, P2 to P5 distance is 10 over here. Okay, so I would take the maximum one here, so I'll just take 10. Similarly P4 to P3 and P5. Okay, similarly P4 to P3 and P5. Okay, similarly P4 to P3 and P5. So P3 to P4, this is 9, and P4 to P5, this is 8. So I would be taking a maximum one here. Okay, I will be taking a maximum one. So matlab whenever we have to club the elements of different cluster, their maximum one. But whenever I would be selecting which cluster to merge, there the lowest one. ठीक है, समझिएगा. जैसे यहाँ पर I started with the lowest one. मैंने क्या किया? I have started with the lowest one, but different objects को जब merge करना था तो maximum one लिया. अब मुझे दोबारा से cluster को join करना है. cluster को join करना है, तो I'll be taking the minimum one. Okay, I'll be taking the minimum one. अब यहाँ पर इसमें minimum कौन सा है? From all these things, तो I have the minimum one as 5th one. ठीक है, I have the minimum one as 5th one. तो अब in the next clustering, what I would cluster? In the next clustering, what I would cluster? I would cluster P2 and P4. ठीक है, अब next में मैं क्या cluster करूंगा? I would be clustering P2 and P4. So this is P1. Okay, I would be clustering P2 and P4. Already I have clustered P3 and P5. Similarly, this is P1. Now I would be clustering P2 and P4, and here I have P3 and P5. Okay, अब guys यहाँ पे this is 0 0 0. अब दोबारा से, अब distance between P1 to P2 and P4. Okay, distance between P1 to P2 and P4. So what is distance between P1 to P2? P1 to P2 is 9. What is P1 to P4? It is 6. So I'll be writing the maximum one. Then I have to club P1 with P3. and P5. Okay, P1 with P3 and P5. Okay, P1 with P3 and P5. तो अब यहाँ पर P1 से P3 कितना है? P1 to P3 this is 3 and P1 to P5 this is 11. तो I would be writing what? The max one. ठीक है, मैं क्या लिखूंगा यहाँ पर? I would be writing the max one. Now similarly I have to club the distance of P2 and P4. Okay, from P3 and P5. So I have to see the maximum one, no? Okay, I have to see the maximum one. So P4 to P3. Yeah, P4 to P3. What is the distance between P4 to P3? So that is 9 over here. Okay, then P4 to P5, that is 8. Okay, then P2 to P3, that is 7. Okay, and P4 to P5. Now P2 to P3, P2 to P5, P2 to P5, that is 10. So maximum of all these things I would take it as 10. Okay, so this is how I have to proceed with this complete linkage. इस तरीके से आपको प्रोसीड करना है विद द कंप्लीट लिंकेज. अब आप यहाँ पर देखो, व्हाट इज द लीस्ट अमंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स. तो लीस्ट वन इज व्हाट? दैट इज 9. ओके, तो नेक्स्ट आई वुड बी क्लबिंग व्हाट? P1 विद P2 एंड P4. ओके, नेक्स्ट आई वुड बी क्लबिंग व्हाट? P1 विद P2 एंड P4. तो अगेन आई वुड बी ड्रॉइंग हियर. ठीक है, मैं फिर से ड्रॉ करूंगा. अब P1 को क्लब करूंगा P2 और P4 के साथ एंड आई हैव ऑलरेडी क्लब्ड P3 एंड P5. ओके, P1 को क्लब करूंगा P2 और P4 के साथ एंड आई हैव ऑलरेडी क्लब्ड P3 एंड P5. ठीक है, तो हियर इट इज 0 0 एंड नाउ आई हैव टू सेलेक्ट द मैक्सिमम वन. ओके, तो दिस इज P3, दिस इज P5 फ्रॉम P1, P2 एंड P4. ओके, तो अब यहां पर yes I have to select the maximum one. तो देख लेते हैं P1 P3 P2 P3 P3 P4. okay, तो P1 P3 what is the distance? P1 P3 that is 3. okay, then P2 P3. okay, what is the distance? P2 P3 that is 7. okay, P2 P3 that is 7. P1 P3 P2 P3 and P4 P3 what is the distance of P4 P3? तो P4 yeah P4 P3 that is 9. okay, अब P1 P5 P2 P5 P4 P5. तो P1 P5 11 10 and 8. okay, 11 10 and 8. तो this is 11, this is 10 and this is 8. P4 P5 it is 8. ठीक है, P4 yeah P5 that is 8. तो what is the maximum one? तो maximum one is what? That is 11 here. तो I'll be writing here 11. Now in the next I would be just joining this. okay, तो अब मैं क्या करूंगा? मैं इसको join कर दूंगा. तो I would be joining all the elements here. okay, तो I have P1, I have P2, I have P4, then I have P3, I have P5, P1 P2 P4 P3 and P5 and I'll be joining this. okay, at 11. तो I ultimately I'll be getting a 0 here. I would be terminating the process. ठीक है, I would be terminating the process. तो this is how the complete linkage works. okay, this is how the complete linkage works. तो क्वेश्चन आर बिट लेंदी एंड 2025 में एक क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है, मैं आप सभी करवाऊंगा. जस्ट आफ्टर दिस आई वुड बी जस्ट आफ्टर दिस विल बी सॉल्विंग दैट क्वेश्चन. ओके, करेक्ट. तो कंप्लीट लिंकेज में आपको बस ध्यान देना है कि whenever I am grouping between two individual elements, there what I have to do is I have to select the minimum one. जैसे ही दो क्लस्टर में ग्रुप करने वाला हूं एलिमेंट्स को, वहां पर मैं मैक्सिमम सेलेक्ट करूंगा. बस आपको ये ध्यान देना है. ओके, तो दिस ओनली शुड बी रिमेंबर्ड. जैसे ही मैं क्लब कर रहा हूं दो इंडिविजुअल क्लस्टर को, एलिमेंट्स या क्लस्टर को, तो मिनिमम वाला. अब क्लस्टर के किसी एक एलिमेंट को क्लब करना है दूसरे एलिमेंट से, तो देन मैक्सिमम वाला. बस आपको इतना सा ध्यान देना है फॉर कंप्लीट लिंकेज. ओके, दिस शुड बी क्लियर फॉर कंप्लीट लिंकेज. ठीक है बेटा, चलिए अब यहां पे आई जस्ट ड्रॉ द डेंड्रोग्राम. ओके, तो आई जस्ट ड्रॉ द डेंड्रोग्राम. तो फर्स्टली व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट ग्रुपिंग? आई जस्ट राइट इट हियर. या, तो आई जस्ट राइट इट हियर. तो first grouping is done. First group was done between what? It was done between P3 and P5. ठीक है, it was done between P3 and P5 and at a what cost? P3 and P5 at a cost of 2. ठीक है, at a cost of 2. Then second grouping, okay, or second clustering is done between what all elements? It is done between P2 and P4. Okay, it is done between P2 and P4. At what cost? At a cost of 5. Then third grouping is done between which all elements? It is done between P1 P2 P4. Okay, so it is done between P1, P2, P4 at a cost of what? At a cost of 9. ठीक है, at a cost of what? At a cost of 9. And what is the fourth group? What is the fourth group? The fourth grouping is done between, yeah, it is done between P1, P2, P4 and P3, P5. Okay, so P3, P5 is merged between with P1, P2, P4 at a cost of what? At a cost of 11. ठीक है, at a cost of 11. ठीक है, अब I have to make a dendrogram. अब now what I have to do is I have to make a dendrogram. तो dendrogram would be made in which form? चलिए, तो सबसे पहले I'll just club P3, then P5. Okay, then I have P2, P4 and then I have P1. Okay, so firstly, yeah, P3 and P5 is merged at a what distance? At a distance of 2. Then we would merge P2 and P4 at a distance of what? At a distance of 5. Then P1, P2, P4. Okay, then P1, correct, P1, P2, P4. So yes, P1, P2, P4 at a distance of 9 and then P1, P2, P4 with P3, P5 at a distance at a cost of 11. ठीक है, तो this is the dendrogram. So here these are the elements and this is the cost. Okay, y axis we have the cost. हाँ, actually yes, Udav, ठीक है. See, actually 11 is when I am clubbing P1, P2, P4 with P3, P5. So once I have clubbed, then हाँ ठीक है, मतलब if you want you can write 11 और 0 मतलब है कि the distance between this whole cluster and this whole cluster is 0. So that is why I just wrote here 0. Okay, but yes, 11 is when I'm clubbing the last one. Okay, so that is 11. तो ठीक है, मतलब I hope you got the essence of this, no? Okay, चलिए, तो अब now I'll just give you the differences. I'll just give you the differences between what exactly complete, where do we use single linkage and where do we use complete linkage. See here, no, uh, single linkage is distance between the closest points of two cluster, and it tends to form long and chain like clusters. Okay, this you have to remember. Okay, so these are the characteristics of single linkage, right? Where we form long and chain like clusters. Okay, where we form long and chain like clusters. Okay, and where do we to use this? Good when data has irregular shapes. Okay, it is majorly used when data has irregular shapes, matlab more of outliers are there. Okay, there is no regular shape of the data. ठीक है, जहां पर ज्यादा आउटलायर है, ओके, या फिर डेटा में नॉन लिनियरिटी ज्यादा है, तो इन दैट केसेस वी जनरली यूज सिंगल लिंकेज. और कंप्लीट लिंकेज का क्या है कि it is distance between the farthest points of two cluster, okay, and tends to form compact and spherical clusters. So you have to just remember this, okay, compact and spherical clusters, and this is more sensitive to outliers than single linkage. तो ये जब outliers ज़्यादा हैं, then we do not use complete linkage, there only we use single linkage. Okay, there we do not use single linkage, we only use complete linkage. ठीक है, नोट करिए बेटा इसको आप. Okay guys, now ठीक है, तो this is all about the agglomerative clustering, okay, where we use single linkage and where we use complete linkage. Okay, chale, अब now let us do one more question where this average linkage would be used. Okay, where yeah, we'll be using average linkage. Okay, and let us see how to solve these average linkage questions. ठीक है, अच्छा, before that I'll be showing you one animation on this a dendrogram. Okay, how a dendrogram is made. I'll just show you an animation how a dendrogram is made. ठीक है, तो आप एक बार ये देखेंगे. Okay, just see how this dendrogram is made, guys. Just have a view. Okay, so see, firstly we would club number of elements. Okay, firstly what we'll do is we would be clubbing elements step by step, right? And in the left graph shows the number of elements that are clubbed, and parallelly the right graph shows the tree like structure that is getting formed. ठीक है, parallelly the right graph shows the tree like structure, okay, that is getting formed. So you just see guys here, now in the left graph, as soon as we are clubbing the elements, this likewise the tree structure is getting formed, है ना. आप एक बार देखिए यहाँ पे, अब जैसे now start from here. Okay, just start from here. Now we clubbed initially p6 p5, then p4 with p6 p5, then we clubbed p1 p2, then we clubbed p0 with it, and in the last, yeah, we clubbed c2 with p3, and in the last we clubbed c4 and c5. Okay, so there I think very easily you can see what exactly a dendrogram is, है ना, and how that dendrogram is formed. So I mean it is a very good animation, no, that will make things really very clear, no, how this dendrogram is made after clubbing each and all elements. Okay, though you have made it, I know, but I think this would make the concepts really very clear. Okay, Shali, now let us start with the average linkage technique. Okay, so just write the heading, the average linkage technique. Okay, now I'll just take one question of average linkage. ठीक है, I'll just take one question of average linkage and let us start with that question. ठीक है, for example, this is an average linkage technique question. ठीक है, this is an average linkage technique question, and this is the cost matrix that is given. Okay, this is the cost matrix that is given. Okay, and we have an average linkage technique. We have to use average linkage technique over here, right? Acha, ab now it is actually see, average linkage, no, that actually trade off. Okay, it is a trade off between the complete linkage and the single linkage. Okay, I'll just write why we use average linkage. So to improve the recommendation, no, to improve the accuracy, so it is a trade-off. Okay, it is a trade-off. What is a trade-off? That means it balances, okay, the good points of average linkage, the good points of single linkage along with certain good points of complete linkage. So it is a trade-off between single linkage and complete linkage. ठीक है, and complete linkage. I'll just write the formula of this clustering method, right? And I'll explain also. Okay, so what is the formula? For example, I need to find the distance between two clusters, no? Okay, I need to find the distance between two clusters. This is A and B. A and B are what? A and B are two clusters. Okay, I need to find the distance between the two clusters A and B. So that is given by what? That is given by the summation of distance between X and Y, summation of distance between X and Y upon number of elements in cluster A and number of elements in cluster B, where X belongs to cluster A and Y belongs to cluster B. Okay, so okay, just wait for a question, everything would get clear. Okay, you just write the formula as it is, just wait for a question, everything would get clear. Okay, chaliye, write it. I'll just give you a minute, please write it. Okay, then let us do this. ठीक है, चलो अब now let us do this question of average linkage technique. ठीक है, अब देखिए, अब इस क्वेश्चन में कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स इज गिवन टू अस. ठीक है, इस क्वेश्चन में कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स गिवन टू अस, तो वील बी स्टार्टिंग विद व्हाट? द सेम मेथड एज वी स्टार्टेड विद सिंगल लिंकेज, राइट? तो व्हाट इज द लोएस्ट कॉस्ट हियर? व्हाट इज द लोएस्ट कॉस्ट हियर? तो lowest cost is 3 here. Okay, lowest cost is 3 here. So firstly I would be clubbing what? I would be clubbing D and E. Okay, so in the first iteration I would be clubbing what? I would be clubbing D and E. ठीक है, तो अब now yeah, let me create again the iteration 1. तो yes, so this is A. Okay, this is B, this is C. Now I clubbed D and E. Okay, and I have F over here. Similarly I have A. Okay, I have B. ठीक है, I have C. Okay, then I have clubbed D and E, and I would be clubbing F over here. ठीक है, and in the last I have F over here. So I have clubbed D and E. Okay, अच्छा, अब now I'll just write the distances. Okay, these are 0. I hope you are getting this. Okay, distance of A to B, that is given as 5. Distance of A to C, that is 16. Now I have to calculate distance of A from DE. Okay, now I have to calculate distance of element A from cluster DE. Okay, what I have to do is I have to calculate distance of element A from cluster DE. So guys, you have to remember, whenever we have to calculate this, so you should calculate the distance of cluster A, of element A from D plus element A from E upon number of elements in cluster A into number of elements in cluster DE. Okay, so this is how the distance is calculated. Guys, you have to remember it. Okay, तो बेटा ये आपको रटना है, थोड़ा सा एक बार याद कर लो, इसको याद रखना है आपको. ठीक है, तो अब what is distance of AD? What is the distance of AD? Distance of AD is what? 12 plus distance of AE कितना है? 18. अब क्लस्टर A में कितने एलिमेंट्स है? एक ही एलिमेंट है. और DE में कितने एलिमेंट है? टोटल 2 एलिमेंट्स है. ठीक है बेटा, D में कितने एलिमेंट्स है? टोटल 2 एलिमेंट्स है. तो अब यहां पर कितना आ जाएगा? तो दैट इज 30/2. कितना आ गया? दैट इज 15. तो हियर आई वुड बी राइटिंग दिस एज 15. ओके, आई वुड बी राइटिंग दिस एज 15. अच्छा, A to F में डिस्टेंस इज 10. देन B to C डिस्टेंस इज 9. ओके, B to F डिस्टेंस इज 16. C to F डिस्टेंस इज 8. दिस इज 10. ओके, हाँ, DE to F नहीं, DE to F भी लिखना है अभी. करेक्ट. C to F हमको पता है, C to F डिस्टेंस इज 8. ठीक है, DE to F आपको लिखना है. ठीक है, ABCDEF करेक्ट, ABCDEF ठीक है, डिस्टेंस टू ए आपको लिखना है। अच्छा, और C2 आपने लिख दिया करेक्ट। अब डिस्टेंस वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट फ्रॉम B टू DE। ओके, डिस्टेंस ऑफ B फ्रॉम क्लस्टर DE, डिस्टेंस ऑफ B फ्रॉम क्लस्टर DE, तो दैट इज व्हाट BD प्लस BE। तो व्हाट इज BD? BD is 20. What is BE? BE is 14. Okay, divided by 2 कितना आ जाएगा? तो this would be 17. Okay, तो यहाँ पे I would be writing here 17. Then distance of C from DE. Okay, distance of C from DE. तो ये कितना आ जाएगा? तो this would be CD plus CE. तो CD 13 plus CE 7 by 2. Okay, तो CD प्लस CE, CD प्लस CE। अच्छा, अब ये आ जाएगा 10, 20 बाई 2 10, ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर आ जाएगा 10, दिस इज 10। अब DE से F, ओके, DE से F, DE से F, तो ये कितना आ जाएगा? तो दिस वुड बी DF प्लस EF। ओके, DF प्लस EF, तो व्हाट इज DF? 10 एंड व्हाट इज EF? दिस इज 12 बाय 2, तो दिस वुड बी हाउ मच? दिस वुड बी 11। ओके, just see, ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ वी हैव टू सॉल्व इट, है ना। अब यहां पर अगेन नाउ लेट अस फाइंड द मिनिमम डिस्टेंस। अब यहां पर दोबारा से मिनिमम डिस्टेंस देखेंगे, तो व्हाट इज द मिनिमम वन हियर? नाउ विच टू क्लब? तो वी कैन क्लब A एंड B, ठीक है। आफ्टर दिस व्हाट वी कैन क्लब? वी कैन क्लब A एंड B, ठीक है। चलिए, अब यहां पर लेट अस क्लब A एंड B। तो हाउ टू क्लब A एंड B? तो अब यहां पे आई वुड बी क्लबिंग ए बी, ओके, तो आई वुड बी क्लबिंग हियर ए बी, then we have C, I have already clubbed DE, and we have F. Similarly, I'll write here AB, then C, okay, then DE, and in the last I have F, ठीक है, and the distances here are, this is 0 0 0 0. Now I need to calculate the distance of what? Distance of firstly C from AB, okay, so this similarly I can calculate distance, okay. So C from AB, what would be the distance of C from AB? So this would be 12.5, okay. So you can just check it, I am writing it as it is. So this would be 12.5, then DE and AB. See, distance of DE from AB, okay, distance of DE from AB. See how to do this. So this we can actually do by calculating distance of, yeah, distance of DA, okay, plus distance of DB, okay, distance of DA plus DB, then distance of EA, okay, EA plus AB, EA plus AB, okay, this upon number of elements in DE. What are the number of elements in DE? We have 2 elements in DE. And what are the number of elements in AB? We have 2 elements in AB. So 2 into 2. Okay. Now distances of DA, DB, EA, AB. Okay. DA, DB, EA, AB. Okay, so I would be getting, yeah, so what is DA, DB? Yes, so I can see distance of DA, so DA is 12, ठीक है, DA is 12. What is DB? Yeah, what is DB? DA is 12, DB is 20, ठीक है, and what is EA? Yes, distance of EA, that is 18, okay, this is 18, and yeah, what is AB? Okay, what is AB? तो AB is 5, ठीक है, AB is 5. So after solving this, you would be getting, yeah, after solving this, you would be getting 16, ठीक है, you would be getting 16. So I'll be writing here 16, ठीक है, I'll be writing here 16. So this would be 16, ठीक है, and this is 12.5, and similarly AB to F, this is 13. Then similarly CF is already given, no, CF is given, that is 8, and similarly F to DE, that is 11. तो guys यहाँ पर एक बार आप solve कर लीजिएगा. हाँ, EB होगा, करेक्ट. EB कहाँ पे होगा? हाँ, that is EB. अच्छा, ठीक है, श्योर, करेक्ट. दिस इज EB, करेक्ट. दिस इज EB, है ना? EB हो जाएगा. और EB कितना है यहाँ पे? EB इज, या EB कितना है? EB इज 14. ठीक है, तो आई विल जस्ट राइट 14, करेक्ट. तो ये 16 आएगा. तो दिस वुड बी दी अपडेटेड कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स, है ना? करेक्ट, दिस वुड बी दी अपडेटेड कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स. तो ये आपको इस तरीके से बेटा ध्यान देना है. ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू रिमेंबर, दिस इज द अपडेटेड कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स. ठीक है, अब इसके बाद विच इज द लोवेस्ट वन? अब इसके बाद विच इज द लोवेस्ट वन? लोवेस्ट वन इज 8. ओके, लोवेस्ट वन इज 8. ओके, अच्छा, C to DE this is 10. Okay, C to DE this is 10. Okay, अब now what is the lowest one? That is 8. ठीक है, lowest one is what? That is 8. बस अब आपको क्या करना है? We have to again group the elements based on this. तो I'll be grouping CF. ठीक है, तो I'll be grouping CF. ठीक है, तो I have AB, then okay, I have CF and we have DE. ठीक है, AB, then we have CF and we have DB. AB, CF and DE. Okay, चलिए अब बस we need to calculate what? Similarly we need to calculate distance between AB and CF. Okay, so I am just filling the table. Okay, so guys you can just calculate it, no? The same way that I've calculated here. Similarly you can calculate distance between AB and CF. So this would be 12.75. okay, this is 12.75. okay, this is 12.75. and AB to DE, that is 16 already, that is given 16. Then CF to DE, that is 10.5. okay, CF to DE, that is 10.5. so this is how we have to solve it. Now the next clubbing would be done on what? Next clubbing would be done on the least one. So that is what? That is 10.5. so I would be clubbing, yeah, I would be clubbing what? I would be clubbing CF and DE. ठीक है, I would be clubbing what? CF and DE. so I have AB and next clubbing would be between CF and DE. ठीक है, CF and DE. so similarly I have AB over here and next is CF and DE. ठीक है, so this is 0 0. and now distance between AB and CFDE. so how to calculate this? so I need to calculate the distance of AC. okay, distance of AC plus distance of AF plus distance of AD, okay, plus distance of AE, okay, plus distance of BC, okay, plus distance of BF plus distance of BD plus distance of BE upon number of elements in AB, that is 2, number of elements in CFDE, that is 4. okay, so this is how we have to solve it. so I would be getting what? I would be getting in the last 14.375. I would be getting in the last 14.375. this is how much? 14.375. but now I have to club this. okay, now I would be clubbing based on this cost. so in the end what I'll be getting? I'll be clubbing what? I'll be clubbing A, B, C, F, D, E, and here also I'll be clubbing A, E, C, F, D, E, and in the last cost would be how much? Cost would be 0. so here I would be terminating the process. ठीक है, तो बेटा इस तरीके से होता है. okay, this is how we have to solve the average linkage technique. ठीक है, this is how we have to solve the average linkage technique. ठीक है, this is how we have to solve the average linkage technique. बोलो क्लियर हुआ कि नहीं? I hope this is clear. okay, and If I want to make the dendrogram, so I can just write cluster 1. Okay, then I can write cluster 2. Then what is there in grouping 3 or cluster 3? Okay, then cluster 4 and cluster 5. ठीक है, डन. ओके, चलिए अब यहाँ पे cluster 1 was made between what? It was made between, you can see it was made between what? ED, है ना? Cluster 1 was made between ED at a cost of 3. So cluster 1 was made between ED at a cost of 3. Then cluster 2 was made between AB at a cost of 5. Cluster 2 was made between AB at a cost of 5. Cluster 3 was clustering 3 was done between CF at a cost of 8. Okay, CF at a cost of 8. And cluster 4 was done between CF and DE at a cost of 10.5. Okay, so it was done between CF and DE at a cost of 10.5. Cluster 5 was done, clustering was done between AB, CF, DE at a cost of 14.375. ठीक है, AB, CF, DE at a cost of 14.375. So now while making the dendrogram, okay, now while making the dendrogram, so I would start with E, I would start with D, then AB, CF, DE. Okay, so firstly I'll write CF, yeah, here CF, okay, DE, and then AB. Okay, and then AB. So firstly I clubbed what? I clubbed ED. Okay, at a cost of what? At a cost of 3. Then I clubbed what? Then I clubbed AB at a cost of what? AB was clubbed at a cost of what? At a cost of 5. Then what did we club? CF at a cost of 8. Then we clubbed CF, okay, at a cost of what? At a cost of 8. Then after this we clubbed CF and DE. Then after this we clubbed CF and DE at a cost of what? At a cost of 10.5. And in the last I clubbed what? I clubbed CFDE with AB at a cost of what? At a cost of 14.375. Okay, so if you want you can just name this as ED cluster. Here you can just name this as CF cluster. Then you can just name this as ED CF cluster, and in the end, yeah, here this you can name it as AB cluster, and here you can just name this cluster as AB ABCF DE cluster. ठीक है, तो this is how you can name all these clusters. ठीक है, and in the on the x-axis represents the number of elements. Okay, what are the elements? And what is the y-axis? Y-axis represents the cost of what? Cost of dissimilarity. Okay guys, please remember this. What this cost represents? It represents the cost of dissimilarity. ठीक है बच्चा, तो ये आपको थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना है. करेक्ट, चलिए तो लेट अस टेक अ ब्रेक ऑफ 15 मिनट्स. ठीक है, लेट अस टेक अ ब्रेक ऑफ 15 मिनट्स एंड लेट अस मीट आफ्टर 15 मिनट्स. ठीक है, चलिए गो फ्रेशन अप योरसेल्फ. अभी कितना हुआ है? इट इज 11:55. तो चलिए लेट अस मीट क्लोज टू 12:12. ठीक है, लेट अस मीट क्लोज टू 12:12 PM. ओके, चलिए डन डन है बेटा. चलिए, okay, now let us start with the next method of clustering. Okay, that is the divisive clustering. Okay, that is the divisive clustering, right? That is the divisive clustering. Now firstly I'll just give you certain questions for homework. Okay, so you have to do this question as a homework, and also attempt this question using the average linkage technique. Okay, attempt this question using the average linkage technique, right? Attempt this question using the average linkage technique. So this is a 2D data set, right? I hope you are getting this. Okay, this is a 2D data set. ठीक है, this is a 2D data set. Okay, this is a 2D data set. So accordingly you have to firstly create the cost matrix. ठीक है बच्चा, आपको सबसे पहले क्या बनाना है? Firstly you have to create a cost matrix. ठीक है, firstly you have to create the cost matrix. तो आप यहाँ पर cost matrix बनाओगे किस किस के बीच में? P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. ओके, देन यहाँ पर भी P1, P2, P3, P4 एंड P5. ठीक है, तो फर्स्टली यू हैव टू क्रिएट अ कॉस्ट मैट्रिक्स, एंड आफ्टर दैट यू हैव टू solve this question using single linkage, complete linkage and average linkage technique. ठीक है guys, तो ये आप करिएगा बच्चा. ठीक है, चलिए अब now this is given you as the homework. Okay, this question is for you as homework. Now next question we have done using average linkage technique. ठीक है, and now let us start forming the cluster using divisive clustering. Okay, here we have to make this attempt this question using divisive clustering. ठीक है, चलिए अब now let me tell you what exactly this divisive clustering is. So basically divisive clustering is also known as top to bottom clustering technique. Okay, this is also known as top to bottom clustering technique, right? And we have to prepare or derive the distance matrix based on the given dataset using the measure of Euclidean distance. Okay, and then we create a minimal spanning tree. Okay, what I'll do is I'll just start with the question. ठीक है, what I'll do is I would start with the question first. Okay, चलिए, I have this question, cost matrix given. ठीक है, this cost matrix is given to me. ठीक है, and I need to form the cluster using divisive clustering. देखो अब इसमें करना कैसे होता है, how to attempt this question. Okay, तो in this question firstly what we have to do is firstly we have to make data pairs. Okay, तो just see the steps, है ना, just see the steps how to do this, and then next question you can do it on your own. Okay, so firstly what we do is we have to create the data pairs. Okay, along with we have to create the data pairs. Yeah, we have to create the data pairs. Okay, along with the costs. ठीक है, along with the cost for making a minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, I'll just tell you what is a minimal spanning tree. Okay, I'll tell you what is a minimal spanning tree. So firstly we have to make data pairs. Okay, along with the cost. Okay, for creating the minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, along with the cost. अच्छा, what is the other name of cost? So that is also known as dissimilarity measure, or we can also call this as distance. ठीक है, आप इसको क्या और क्या बोल सकते हो, distance भी बोल सकते हो. ठीक है, we can also call this as distance. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पर how to create the data pairs. तो we'll start with the ascending order, जैसे हम पहले किया था ना, the initially that we have done. Similarly we'll be doing now also. तो I'll be starting with the lowest cost. Okay, I'll be starting with the lowest cost. So what is the lowest cost? Lowest cost is AB. ठीक है, lowest cost is AB. So firstly what I'll do is I'll create a data pair of point A and B, and at what cost? That is at the cost of 2. Okay, that is at a cost of 2. Then next I would create the data pair of point D and E. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट आई वुड क्रिएट द डेटा पेयर ऑफ पॉइंट D and D. एट व्हाट कॉस्ट? दैट अगेन एट अ कॉस्ट ऑफ 3. ठीक है, दैट इज अगेन एट अ कॉस्ट ऑफ 3. ओके, देन नेक्स्ट आई वुड क्रिएट अ डेटा पेयर ऑफ CD. ठीक है, I have to write all these things, bro. I have to write all these things in the ascending order, okay, at a cost of 4. Then what would be next? Now next we have 2, okay, BC and CE. So we have BC and CE. ठीक है, so I can write BC here and I can write CE here, okay, at a cost of 5 respectively, right? Then I would create AC. फिर मैं क्या करूँगा? I would create the link AC at a cost of 6. Then after this I would create BE. I would create BE at a cost of what? At a cost of 8. Okay. Then after this BD and AE. BD and AE at a cost of what? At a cost of 9. And in the last I would just create a pair of AD at a cost of 10. ठीक है, AD at a cost of 10. So I have done this in the increasing order of the cost. ठीक है, I have done this in the increasing order of the cost. I have created the data pairs in the increasing order of the cost. ठीक है, मैंने क्या किया? मैंने data pair बना लिए in the increasing order of the cost. ठीक है, अब इसके बाद we have to create a minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, इसके बाद हमको क्या करना है? We have to create a minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, what we have to do is we have to create a minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, we need to create a minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, अच्छा चलिए, अब what is a minimal spanning tree? देखिए, there are certain rules of creating minimal spanning tree. Okay, अच्छा, it is based on the dissimilarity matrix by using Kruskal's algorithm. ओके, तो फर्स्टली आपको ये थोड़ा नाम रखना है, कि ये नाम याद रखना है. यू जस्ट रिमेंबर द नेम. इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द डिसिमिलैरिटी मेजर. ओके, इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द डिसिमिलैरिटी मेजर यूजिंग Kruskal's algorithm. Okay, using Kruskal's algorithm. Okay, so this you have to remember the name, using Kruskal's algorithm. Okay, now there are certain rules of making minimal spanning tree. There are certain rules of making minimal spanning tree. Firstly, it is a connected tree. Okay, it is a connected tree. Then second, firstly it is a connected tree. Then second, no loops or no closed circuits should be there in the tree. Okay, so you have to write this: no closed loops or no closed circuits should form in the tree. Okay, shall form in the tree. ठीक है, no closed loops or circuits shall fall in the tree. अच्छा, third is each data point in the tree should be visited at least once. Okay, you just write it. I'll explain each and everything using this question. No, I'll explain each and everything. अच्छा, each data point, that is known as node here. Now each data point, no, I'll refer each data point as node here. Okay, each data point would be referred as node and it shall be visited at least one. ओके, एवरी डेटा पॉइंट जो है दैट शुड बी विजिटेड एटलीस्ट 1. ठीक है, अच्छा, अब फोर्थ पॉइंट इज, इफ फॉर एग्जांपल इफ देयर आर n nodes present in the tree. Okay, if there are n nodes, okay, if there are n number of nodes present in the tree, n nodes present in the tree. Okay, if there are n nodes present in the tree, then we would be having n minus 1 edges. Okay, then n minus 1 edges would be formed. N minus 1 edges will form. Okay, n minus 1 edges will form. Okay, n minus 1 edges will form. Okay, this is a guarantee, right? This is a rule. Okay, n minus 1 edges would be formed. ठीक है, अच्छा, अब in this tree, no, in this tree more distance means what? More dissimilarity between the cluster elements. I'll just write it here. Already वैसे आपको पता ही है ये चीज कि in the tree more distance मतलब क्या हो गया? What does that more distance means? More distance means more dissimilarity, okay, between the cluster elements. Okay, more dissimilarity between the cluster elements. Already you know this, but still I'll write it. Dissimilarity between the cluster elements. Okay, more dissimilarity between the cluster elements. ठीक है, तो more dissimilarity between the cluster elements. Now I have written all the data points in the ascending order. ठीक है, मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने सारे जितने भी data points थे मैंने सबको pair बना के in the ascending order I have written. Okay, yes, I'll just tell you. Okay, just I'll tell you what is circuit, what are loops, everything I'll just tell you. ठीक है, तो मैंने क्या किया, मैंने सबको data pair बना के and I've written in the ascending order of the cost. अब देखिए बेटा, अब मैं क्या करूंगा, what I'll do now, I'll start making the minimal spanning tree. ठीक है, तो I'll start with the first data pair, that is what? That is AB. So what I'll do is I'll start with the first data pair, that is AB, and distance between AB is what? Distance between AB is 2. ठीक है, distance between AB is 2. Then next is what? Then next is DE. Okay, distance between DE is what? That is 3. Okay, and I have to check every time that whether a loop is getting formed or not. Okay, तो distance between DE is what? DE is 3. अब कोई इसमें loop बन रहा है, तो अभी तक तो इसमें कोई loop नहीं बना. Okay, there is no circuit that is formed till now. ठीक है, there is no circuit that has been formed till now. Now next is what? Next is CD, and that is at a distance of 4. Okay, next is CD, that is a distance of 4. So I can just write it here. Okay, for example, I just write it here. Yes, and CD is at a distance of what? This is at a distance of 4. Okay, CD is at a distance of 4. अब अभी तक कोई लूप बना? अभी तक कोई भी लूप नहीं है. Okay, then next is BC. BC is at a distance of what? BC is at a distance of 5. तो अब देखो, अभी तक कोई लूप बना क्या? तो BC is at a distance of 5 and there is no loop here, है ना? BC is at a distance of 5 and there is no loop here. चलो कोई बात नहीं. अब now let us see the next one. तो till BC I have made. Now CE is at a distance of 5 at a cost of 5. Okay, now if I join CE, now just see, if I join CE, you are able to see that I have a loop that is formed here. Okay, a loop is getting formed here. That means a closed circuit is available. Okay, Newsbuster, I hope beta this is clear now. So you can see that a closed circuit is visible here. Okay, as soon as I join CE, you can see that a closed circuit has been seen here. So that means I won't be joining CE here. Okay, that means I won't be joining CE here because loop was formed here. Okay, because loop got formed here. Okay, now next is AC at a cost of 6. Okay, AC at a cost of 6. अब अगर मैं AC को join करता हूँ, just see AC, if it is joined at a cost of 6, again यहाँ पर loop बन गया, तो I wouldn't join AC. ठीक है, अगेन लूप बन गया, मैं फिर से AC को ज्वाइन नहीं करूंगा. ओके, I won't be joining AC. ओके, then next is what? Next is BE. ओके, next is BE. एक बार देख लेते हैं BE को ज्वाइन करके. देखो BE आप ज्वाइन करोगे, अगेन a loop has been formed. ओके, तो that means yeah, I won't be joining BE. Okay, yeah, loop and circuit are same. Newsbuster, loop and circuit are almost similar. Okay, तो मतलब you should only see that there shouldn't be any closed circuit or closed loop. Okay, we shouldn't have any closed circuit or loop. ठीक है, तो ये हो गया BE. I won't be joining BE now. ठीक है, तो इसका मतलब BE पे भी लूप बन रहा है, BD पे भी लूप बन रहा है. अब AE और AD, अब now I have AE and AD. See, if I join AE, again a loop is getting formed. I won't be joining this AE and AD. And if I form AD, if I join AD, again a loop is getting formed. I won't be joining AD. ठीक है, तो अब now this is the minimal spanning tree. Okay, this is the minimal spanning tree that has been formed. Okay, अब देखिए इसका मतलब क्या होता है. Now this means that the bigger cluster. Now what does that means? It means that the bigger cluster that I have, okay, since this clustering is what? This clustering is top to bottom. Okay, so the bigger cluster that I have, that would be A, B, C, D and E. Okay, the bigger cluster would be what? A, B, C, D and E. ठीक है, that is the bigger cluster. And I'll just join this bigger cluster in form of this minimal spanning tree. Okay, so this is A to B, then yeah, I have B to C. Okay, then I have C to D and D to E, and I'll also write the cost over here. Okay, so this is 3, 4, 5 and 2. Acha, अब now I have to come from I have to come from top to bottom. So now I have a bigger cluster over here. Now what I'll do is I would be seeing the most dissimilar element. Okay, and I'll be cutting that edge. तो अब इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा dissimilar element कौन सा है? Which is the most dissimilar element? So you can see that the edge BC should be cut first. Okay, edge BC should be cut first. So after first iteration I would be having, after first iteration I would be having AB as a loop. Okay, AB as a joined one, AB as a tree, and C to D and D to E as a tree. ठीक है, और यहाँ पे A to B we have 2 here. Okay, A to B we have 2 here, C to D we have 4 and D to E we have 3. अच्छा, अब now तो this is first splitting. Okay, तो first split जो होगा, first split. Okay, see what is the root cluster? I'll just write it here. Okay, what is the root cluster? Root cluster is A, B, C, D, E. Okay, अब now पहला जो split है, what is the first split? First split is done in such a way that I have AB as the one cluster and CDE as the second cluster. Okay, AB and CDE are the second cluster, and at what cost? That is at a cost of 5. Now second split would be between which element? The most dissimilar one. So this is the most dissimilar one. So I would be having A to B. Okay, then I have C different, and then D and E are connected. Okay, then D and E are connected. So A to B is 2, C is different, D and E, this is connected. ठीक है, this is connected. So now what is the second split? Now what is the second split? So I have AB connected. ठीक है, I have AB connected, I have C different, and I have DE connected, and second split is done at a cost of 4. ठीक, अब इसके बाद third split. ठीक है, इसके बाद third split. तो third split is done at what cost? The third split would be done at a cost of 3. So now I have A, B at a cost of what? At a cost of 2. Then yeah, I have C as different, I have D and E. Now these elements have been splitted. Okay, so third split is done where AB is there. Okay, AB are the most common, I mean most similar one. C is already splitted, D and E would be splitted, and at a cost of what? At a cost of 3. Then what is the fourth and the final split? Okay, what is the fourth and the final split? I would be cutting this. So now I'll be having each and every element free. Okay, so A, B, C, D and E. ठीक है, and fourth split I'll be having each and every element free, independent. Okay, so I'll be having A, B, C, D and E. ठीक है, अब यहाँ पे once I get each and every element free, I would be terminating the process. Okay, so here process terminates. Okay, here process terminates. तो एक बार यहाँ पर जैसे ही मेरे को सारे एलिमेंट्स फ्री मिल जाएंगे, तो what I'll do is I would be terminating the process. Okay, I would be terminating the process. Now if you want that I should represent this on using a graph or some visual representation is required. So see, so this is a top to bottom approach. Okay, so in the root cluster I had all the elements joined. For example, I'll just name this root cluster as upper weir. Okay, just for our understanding, I would name the root cluster as what? Root cluster as upper weir. Okay, I would just name this root cluster as what? Root cluster as upper weir. Okay, अब now here what is the most dissimilar element? I mean split one. What is the most dissimilar element? That is AB. AB would be splitted here. Okay, I would split AB here and CDE. ठीक है, तो I would split AB here and CDE. Okay, I would split AB here and CDE. ठीक है, तो now this is the first split. Okay, तो ये क्या आ जाएगा? ये आ जाएगा हमारा first split. तो अब now I can name this AB and CDE. Now for example, I can name this AB as winter wear. I can just name it for our understanding, no, because they are the most dissimilar one. So what I can do is I can just name this cluster as winter wear, okay, and CDE, this cluster as summer wear. Okay, this cluster, just for an understanding, okay, just for our understanding, I am naming this cluster as winter wear and the next one as the summer wear. ठीक है, अब इसके बाद what was the second split? Second split was C with DE. Okay, C with DE. So now what I'll do is I would just split C first. Okay, I would split with DE. Now I can just say that what is C? So in the summer wear, C could be shorts. Okay, summer wear the element name is shorts and DE they can be इसको क्या लिख सकते हैं, कुछ नाम बताइए फॉर DE, क्या लिख दूंगा समर वियर में, इसको क्या लिख सकता हूँ, आई कैन राइट नहीं अपर वियर था ना तो शॉर्ट्स नहीं लिखेंगे इसको, आई कैन राइट या तो आई कैन राइट दिस एज शर्ट. ओके, दिस आई कैन राइट इट एज शर्ट्स. ओके, और हाँ, और DE में क्या लिख सकता हूँ, DE आई कैन राइट दिस एज आई कैन राइट इट एज सॉक्स. ओके, और स्पोर्ट्स है ना, आई कैन राइट इट एज स्पोर्ट्स वियर. ठीक है, आई कैन राइट इट एज स्पोर्ट्स वियर. ओके, देन व्हाट इज द third split? Now CDE. Now third split is what? This is second split. Okay, this was second split. And what is third split? So here I can just split D and E. ठीक है, here what I can do is I can split D and E. ठीक है, तो अब स्पोर्ट्स में आप क्या लिख सकते हो, तो स्पोर्ट्स में फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई हैव रिटन हियर दिस एज टी शर्ट. ओके, दिस आई कैन राइट इट एज टी शर्ट्स एंड E आई कैन राइट इट एज या आई कैन राइट इट एज क्या लिख सकते हैं इसको, t-shirts with collar. Okay, I can write it as t-shirts with collar. Okay, so this I can write it as t-shirts with collar. Ab now this is third split. Okay, now this is third split. So I just wanted to show you that D and E are more similar than C. My naming is what? I just wanted to show you that D and E are more similar than E. This is my major concern of writing here. Okay, that is my major concern of writing here. Okay, ab now in the fourth split. Okay, this third split is given. Now in the fourth split, what I can write? Yeah, in the fourth split, what I can split? I can split A and B. Okay, so this A and B. So what is A? A I can write as jackets. Okay, A can be as A can be written as jackets. Okay, and B I can write it as sweaters. So I hope you are able to see this, the way I am splitting. Okay, this is top to bottom. I hope you are able to see this. This is what? This is top to bottom clustering. Okay, this is divisive clustering. This is top to bottom clustering. So the way I am splitting is nothing. I am just firstly disconnecting the most dissimilar element. That is the funda. बस और कुछ भी नहीं है. I first disconnected the most dissimilar element. बस और कुछ भी नहीं किया मैंने. So this is how I have splitted this. ठीक है, दिस इज हाउ आई हैव स्प्लिटेड दिस, बस और मैंने कुछ भी नहीं किया इसमें. ठीक है, तो यू हैव टू ड्रॉ व्हाट, यू हैव टू ड्रॉ अ एमएसटी, मिनिमल स्पैनिंग ट्री. देन आफ्टर दैट यू हैव द रूट क्लस्टर, देन यू अकॉर्डिंगली ड्रॉ द स्प्लिट्स, एंड यस, आफ्टर दैट you can just make a visual representation of it. Okay, after that you can make a visual representation of it, right? So guys, this is the way of splitting it from top to bottom approach, है ना? This is the way of splitting it from top to bottom approach. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is clear. चलिए, अगर क्लियर है तो यू हैव टू डू दिस क्वेश्चन एज होमवर्क. मैं आपको होमवर्क दे दे रहा हूं आज का. तो ये 2D डेटा सेट है गाइस, ये आपको होमवर्क की तरह करना है. ठीक है बच्चा, ये होमवर्क करोगे आप. 2D डेटा सेट है, इट इज 2D, 2 डायमेंशनल डेटा सेट. ठीक है, ये 2D डेटा सेट है, ये होमवर्क की तरह करोगे. तो फर्स्टली मेक डिसिमिलैरिटी मैट्रिक्स, उसके बाद फिर एज पेयर अलॉन्ग विद दिस आपको MST बनाना है, मिनिमल स्पैनिंग ट्री यूजिंग क्रस्कल्स एल्गोरिथम. ठीक है, और बस देन यू हैव टू स्प्लिट इट. ठीक है, देन यू हैव टू स्प्लिट इट. ठीक है, दिस इज अगेन, दिस इज MST, दिस इज गिवन. ये MST आपको दे रखा है, आपको सॉल्व करना है इसको. ठीक है बच्चा, MST आपको दिया हुआ है, आपको सॉल्व करना है. चलिए, ये गेट 2025 में क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है. यस एवरीवन गाइस, प्लीज सॉल्व इट. एवरीवन, सभी का सही आंसर आना चाहिए. MSQ क्वेश्चन है, इट इज MSQ क्वेश्चन, सभी का सही आंसर आना चाहिए इन योर वेरी फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट. प्लीज डू दिस. Yes, tell me what is the answer. Okay, so what is the correct answer? Very simple, no? See what he says that C1 and C2 be two sets of objects. Okay, this was of 2 mark question, MSQ question hai beta, MSQ question hai. He says dxy be a measure of dissimilarity between two objects x and y. Consider the following definition of dissimilarity between C1 and C2. See, distance 1 between C1 and C2 is max of dxy where x belongs to C1, y belongs to C2. Distance 2 is min of dxy where x belongs to C1, y belongs to C2. अब ये क्या कह रहा है? What does he says? He says which of the following is are correct. अब एक चीज आप मेरे को बताओ, सिंगल लिंकेज जो क्लस्टरिंग होता है, what does it use? It uses minimum distance. I hope आपको याद होगा what does single linkage clustering do? Single linkage uses what? It uses minimum distance. And what does complete linkage do? It uses the maximum distance. Okay, wherever chain like structure is formed, okay, there single linkage. Spherical structure होता है वहां पर complete linkage. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब यहां पर ये क्या कह रहा है? अगर single linkage में है तो minimum distance, तो that means for single linkage I would be using distance 2. Okay, that means for single linkage I would be using distance 2, और complete linkage के लिए I use a maximum distance, तो I would be using distance 1. So that means what are the correct answers? तो answers are B and C. बताओ ये मुश्किल था क्या क्वेश्चन? Was this question tough? भाई आपने इससे मुश्किल क्वेश्चन कर रखे हैं where everything you solved, okay, using table, मतलब each and every numerical you have done this. भाई ये तो कुछ भी नहीं, MSQ क्वेश्चन है 2 नंबर का, ये बच्चों वाला क्वेश्चन दिया हुआ है इन्होंने, 2 मार्क्स क्वेश्चन, इजीली यू कैन डू दिस. आई होप आप समझ पा रहे हैं ये चीज, है ना? आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. ओके, सो ऑल सच क्वेश्चंस आर आस्क्ड, ओके, विद ऑल दीज कॉन्सेप्ट्स. तो अनसुपरवाइज लर्निंग पे 25 में क्वेश्चन आया था एंड 24 में भी क्वेश्चन आया है. ओके, इन 24 ऑल्सो क्वेश्चन केम, राइट? तो 24 वाला क्वेश्चन व्हेन आई विल बी स्टार्टिंग विद PYQ सीरीज, तो 24 में जो अनसुपरवाइज लर्निंग में क्वेश्चन है दैट आई विल बी शोइंग यू दैट टाइम. ठीक है, 24 में भी आया है, 25 में ये वाला क्वेश्चन मैंने आपको करवा दिया. आई थिंक 24 वाला मेरे पास है कि नहीं है, मैं देख लेता हूँ. ना आई डोंट हैव. अच्छा, यस, DBSCAN मेथड दैट इज नॉट देयर इन दी सिलेबस. DBSCAN मेथड जो है दैट इज नॉट देयर इन दी सिलेबस, बट फॉर इंटरव्यू इट इज हाईली आस्क्ड. ओके, but interview it is highly asked. Okay, ओके तो इंटरव्यू दिस इज हाईली आस्क्ड. तो आप लोग क्या करेंगे, इसको जरूर एक बार पढ़ लेना बिकॉज दैट इज अ डेंसिटी बेस्ड स्कैन मेथड. जरूर एक बार आप इसको पढ़ लीजिएगा बिकॉज इट इज हाईली आस्क्ड इन द इंटरव्यू, और इसकी कोडिंग एक बार आप कर लेना. ठीक है, जस्ट सी दी कोडिंग पार्ट. ओके, अब मैं आपको आई एम शोइंग यू द कोडिंग पार्ट ऑफ द project that I have made. Okay, so I am just showing the coding part and I'll show you how exactly a decision tree is made. Okay, how exactly, sorry, a dendrogram is made. Okay, तो आप एक बार इसको DBSCAN को नोट कर लीजिए. ठीक है, दिस इज, ये आप एक बार खुद से करेंगे. ओके, यू हैव टू डू इट ऑन योर ओन, बट दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर योर इंटरव्यू पर्पस. ओके, एंड ट्राई टू मेक अ प्रोजेक्ट ऑल्सो. अगर कोशिश कर पाओ तो एक प्रोजेक्ट बना लेना यूजिंग DBSCAN. इट वुड हेल्प यू अलॉट, ट्रस्ट मी गाइज, इट वुड हेल्प यू अलॉट. और टाइमिंग में आपको एक बार वो दिखा देता हूँ हाउ डेंड्रोग्राम इज मेड एक्चुअली नो इन द जुपिटर फाइल, और कैसा एक्चुअली हाउ दैट अनसुपरवाइज लर्निंग डेटा इज. तो मैं आपको ये एक बार दिखा देता हूँ. जस्ट गिव मी अ मिनट, आई एम शोइंग यू दिस. ओके, yeah, I think after GATE, no, if you are planning to pursue masters, okay, in some of these research fields, no, तो definitely I mean start with the coding part after GATE, not before GATE. क्योंकि देखो GATE में कोई भी नहीं पूछने वाला, GATE में आपसे कोई नहीं पूछने वाला कि which library did you use. तो वो आपसे क्या पूछेंगे, they would only ask what concept you have used. Okay, so only they would be asking you majorly the questions on I mean the numerical questions, okay, or the conceptual based question, without asking the library, okay, on which you have worked. Okay, without asking the library on which you have worked. ठीक है, चलिए अब यहाँ पर एक बार देखेंगे. You just see here, this is a K-means clustering project, no, which I have done. So I just want to show you. ये बार fluctuate हो रहा है, एक मिनट बेटा बस, just a sec. अब ठीक है ना. अब नाउ दिस इज करेक्ट. अब आप देखो, हाँ करेक्ट बेटा. आई एक्चुअली टीच, मैं एक्चुअली यहाँ पर डेटा साइंस बैच के लिए ही आया था. आई ज्वाइन गीक्स फॉर टीचिंग यू डेटा साइंस, ओके, इन नंबर ऑफ बैचेस, बट दिस देन मतलब आई थिंक वी डिडंट हैड faculty to teach machine learning, and I enjoy, मतलब मेरी PhD machine learning में है, तो I started there as a machine learning faculty. Along with this I take data science batches. ठीक है, अच्छा अब एक बार सबसे पहले आप मुझे ये देखो, यहाँ पे ये देखो, this is the data set. Okay, this is the data set where you have to work. See what is the problem statement, that is you have to work for an online retail store, and that is a UK based online retail store, and transactions that have occurred no between 2010 to 2011, okay, for a UK based online store, that you have to see, and now you have to recommend the discounts for number of customers. Okay, that you have to recommend a discount to number of customers. अब देखो बेटा एक बार यहाँ पर देखिएगा कि this is the data set. ठीक है, जहाँ पर इनवॉइस नंबर है, स्टॉक कोड है, डिस्क्रिप्शन हो गया, क्या क्या लेके गया है वो, क्वांटिटी कितना कितना लेके गया है, इनवॉइस डेट है, यूनिट प्राइस, कस्टमर आईडी, कंट्री. तो अब देखो देयर इज नो नथिंग, देयर इज नो नेम ऑफ द कस्टमर, कुछ भी नहीं बोल रहा. नथिंग ही हैज डन, ओके, नथिंग ही हैज स्पेसिफाइड। अब हम क्या करेंगे, आई वुड बी एक्चुअली क्लीनिंग द डेटा फर्स्ट। तो दिस इज ऑल अ पार्ट ऑफ ईडीए, ठीक है। तो ये आप ईडीए में करोगे, अभी रहने दो। आई वुड जस्ट शो यू द मशीन लर्निंग पार्ट नो, which you have to see. तो अब I would be preparing the data for modeling. So now what I'll do is I'll just check the monetary perspective aspect of this data. So we have to actually gather these three things. What are these three things? Recency, frequency and monetary value. So how, I mean number of days since last purchase, and what are the number of transactions that occurred and total amount of transactions. ठीक है, तो this we have to calculate it. Okay, अच्छा, अब यहाँ पर what I'll do is I would be actually grouping all these things. मतलब ये सब ग्रुप बाय, ये सब पांडास के कमांड है, ठीक है। तो ये कोई बात नहीं, आप कर लेना, या फिर एक बार आ जाओ 𝐂𝐸𝐴 मैं करवा दूंगा आपको। तो ये है। तो अब आफ्टर कैलकुलेटिंग फ्रीक्वेंसी, रिसेंसी, व्हाट आई हैव डन इज नाउ आई हैव cleaned the data set and this is what the data set is. Okay, this is what the data set is. ये है अपना data set. Customer ID, amount कितना खर्च किया, what amount did he spend? He spent 0 rupees. And what is the frequency? He only came twice in a year. Okay, he only came twice in this year. Okay, अब 1 2 3 4 7, this customer ID, he spent $4310. He came 182 times. Okay, and what are the recency after I mean the last when he came, he just came I mean 1 day ago. Okay, then 1 2 3 4 8, he spent 1797. What is the frequency? 31 days and 71. He came 74 days ago. तो मतलब this is how I have created the data set, है ना। इस तरीके से मैंने data set किया है। Now I would draw a box plot. Okay, तो plt.boxplot and just you have to use here the column name. You have to just enter the column name. You will get the outliers over here. Okay, so this is just, we have to see, okay, how the data is behaving. Now scaling is very important. I would be scaling these three columns. Okay, acha, now I hope you are able to see this. This is a non-labeled data set. Okay, we haven't labeled it. It is an unlabeled data set. I hope you are able to see this. It is an unlabeled data set. We haven't specified who has got it or who did buy, what is the name of that, nothing we have, from which country he belongs, nothing, कुछ भी नहीं हमने किया। हमने सिर्फ देखा कितना अमाउंट बाय किया है, कितनी बार आया है और लास्ट कब आया था, बस हमने सिर्फ ये देखा। अब वो वर्मा जी आए लेने, शर्मा जी आए, मेरे को कोई मतलब नहीं है। ओके, तो दिस इज व्हाट अ अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग और अनलेबल्ड डेटा सेट, ठीक है। तो अब यहाँ पर दिस इज आफ्टर स्केलिंग। ओके, तो वी हैव स्केल्ड दिस इज आफ्टर स्केलिंग। अब हम क्या करेंगे, आई वुड बी एक्चुअली यूजिंग दी K-मीन्स क्लस्टरिंग, ठीक है। अब देखो यहाँ पर नंबर ऑफ क्लस्टर्स मैंने कितना किया, दीज आर दी हाइपर पैरामीटर्स। तो मैंने 4 क्लस्टर बनाए, मैक्सिमम आइटरेशन 50 रखा, एंड वी सॉ दैट when we saw the labels after K-मीन्स क्लस्टरिंग, तो these are the groups, ठीक है। जो पहला जो कस्टमर है उसको मैंने ग्रुप 3 में डाल दिया, मतलब जो पहला कस्टमर था, फर्स्ट कस्टमर क्या था, उसको एल्गोरिथम ने ग्रुप 3 में डाल दिया। अब देखो ना, खुद ही देखो, ये 2 बार आया है साल में, ना कुछ पैसा खर्च करके गया और 325 दिन पहले आया था। तो भाई मेरे लिए तो बेकार है ना, दिस ही इज जस्ट अ वेस्ट ऑफ रिसोर्स फॉर मी, मेरे लिए तो कस्टमर बेकार है। तो आई वुड बी पुटिंग हिम इन द लास्ट ग्रुप। अब ये आए ना आए मेरे को कोई मतलब नहीं है, ठीक है। मतलब आई वुड बी हार्डली केयरिंग फॉर दिस पर्सन कि इफ ही इज कमिंग और नॉट, आई डोंट केयर एट ऑल, बिकॉज ये लास्ट टर्म कब आया था, 325 दिन पहले, तो मेरे प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी में कुछ भी नहीं ये कर रहा। तो दैट मीन्स आए ना आए मेरे को कोई मतलब नहीं, आई वुड नॉट बी गिविंग एनी डिस्काउंट टू हिम, ठीक है। अब यहाँ पर लेबल फर्स्ट इज गिवन, मतलब सेकंड ग्रुप में, सेकंड वाले कस्टमर को मैंने सेकंड ग्रुप में डाल दिया। तो व्हाट इज द सेकंड कस्टमर इज 12347। अब देखो, इसने $4310 खर्च भी किया है, ठीक है। इसने 182 टाइम्स आया भी है और एक दिन पहले आया था, तो मतलब दिस कस्टमर इज एक्चुअली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी। ओके, दिस कस्टमर इज एक्चुअली इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी। तो भाई इसको मैं थोड़ा बहुत डिस्काउंट दे दूंगा, तो क्या पता मेरी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बढ़ जाए। आई होप यू आर गेटिंग दिस। अगर इसको मैंने डिस्काउंट दूंगा तो क्या पता मेरी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी बढ़ जाए। तो दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू एक्चुअली क्रिएट यूज K-मीन्स। ओके, दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू क्रिएट K-मीन्स। अब आप पूछोगे सर इसमें कितने हमको वो बनाना है, टोटल हाउ मेनी क्लस्टर्स वी हैव टू मेक। तो देखो उसके लिए एल्बो कर्व हमने बनाया है यहाँ पे, ठीक है। फाइंडिंग द ऑप्टिमल नंबर ऑफ क्लस्टर्स। आई होप आपको ये मतलब पता है SSD का। व्हाट इज दिस SSD? आई होप यू अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस SSD। दैट इज नथिंग, दैट इज सम ऑफ स्क्वायर एरर। ओके, WCSS SSC एक ही बात है, सब कुछ एक ही चीज है। ओके, तो the thing, I mean the elbow where we are getting the elbow at that number of clusters, no, so there we can fix the number of clusters. Okay, at that point we can fix the number of clusters. And apart from this, we have also done Silhouette analysis. We have done Silhouette analysis. So this is the Silhouette score for cluster number 2, 3, 4. So this is the Silhouette analysis, and this is what? This is the elbow curve. So based on both of these matrices, I would be defining what are the number of clusters. So here I concluded that I should make 3 number of clusters. I think making 3 number of clusters is the optimal one. Okay, that is the optimal choice. So I made 3 number of clusters. Now after this I have made all these written all these labels. Now कस्टमर आईडी 12346 ये सबसे बेकार कस्टमर है, मेरे लिए बिल्कुल घटिया कस्टमर है, तो मैं क्या करूंगा, इसको सबसे लास्ट वाले में डाल दिया मैंने. अब ये आए ना आए मेरे को कोई मतलब नहीं है. अब ये जो 12347 है, दिस इज अ गुड कस्टमर, इसको मैंने सबसे पहले वाले ग्रुप में डाला. इसको मैं 15% 20% डिस्काउंट दूंगा. ठीक है, आई होप यू आर गेटिंग दिस. आई वुड गिव हिम गुड डिस्काउंट सो दैट ही विल कम मोर नंबर ऑफ टाइम, ही विल स्पेंड मोर एंड ही वुड एक्चुअली एड टू द प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऑफ द कंपनी. ठीक है, तो दिस इज हाउ क्लस्टरिंग इज डन. ठीक है, अब यहां पर एक बार देख लेते हैं हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग. तो हायरार्किकल क्लस्टरिंग में देखो इस तरीके से डिसीजन ये डेंड्रोग्राम बनते हैं. दिस इज हाउ डेंड्रोग्राम इज मेड. ओके, दिस इज हाउ डेंड्रोग्राम इज मेड. तो यहाँ पे आपको कट करना पड़ता है, बिकॉज वी हैव फॉर एग्जांपल हमारे पास 1 लाख कस्टमर्स हैं, है ना. अगर मान लीजिए हमारे पास 1 लाख एपेरल्स हैं, वी हैव 1 लाख एपेरल्स. ओके, फॉर एग्जांपल फॉर अ फ्लिपकार्ट वी हैव 1 लाख एपेरल्स. तो अब सबका अगर मैं डेंड्रोग्राम बनाने लग जाऊंगा तो दैट वुड बी अ वेरी क्लमसी वन. ठीक है, दैट वुड बी अ वेरी क्लमसी वन. तो आप क्या करोगे, आई वुड बी कटिंग द डेंड्रोग्राम. तो इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, इन्वर्जन टेक्निक बोलते हैं. ओके, इसको इस टेक्निक का नाम होता है इन्वर्जन. और आप ये देखो, दिस इज हाउ what this complete means. I hope अब आप जज कर पाओगे. I hope you can identify what is this complete. तो this complete is what? This is the linkage. ठीक है, that is the linkage that we are using. तो अब आप यहाँ पे linkage भी लिख complete की जगह आप single भी यूज कर सकते थे. You could have used average. तो डिपेंड करता है कि डेटा सेट कैसा है ना. दैट डिपेंड्स कि डेटा सेट कैसा है. अगर आपको स्फेरिकल क्लस्टर्स चाहिए या अगर आपको चेन लाइक क्लस्टर्स चाहिए, तो वो फिर आप डिपेंड करेगा कि आपको कौन सा यूज़ करना है. ठीक है, फॉर स्फेरिकल क्लस्टर्स यू कैन यूज़ द कंप्लीट लिंकेज. फॉर चेन लाइक आप सिंगल लिंकेज कर सकते हो. ठीक है, तो दैट डिपेंड्स विच टाइप ऑफ क्लस्टर यू वांट एंड इट वुड ऑल्सो डिपेंड ऑन द डेटा सेट विच वी हैव. तो इस तरीके से आपको यहाँ पर ये डेंड्रोग्राम बना हुआ मिलेगा. ठीक है, तो वी हैव नंबर ऑफ मेथड्स. डेंड्रोग्राम आप बना सकते हो और आपको यहाँ पे कट भी करना होता है, तो उसको बोलते हैं इन्वर्जन टेक्निक. तो अभी मत जाओ इतना उस पर, जस्ट डोंट गो देयर. ठीक है, अच्छा, अब आफ्टर मेकिंग दी ग्रुपिंग, आफ्टर मेकिंग की ग्रुपिंग, आप क्या कर सकते हो, बॉक्स प्लॉट बना सकते हो कि क्या बहुत ज़्यादा आउटलायर्स तो नहीं है. डू वी हैव मोर आउटलायर, दैट मीन्स क्वालिटी ऑफ ग्रुपिंग इज बिट वीक. ठीक है, ऐसा तो नहीं कोई बंदा जो है रेगुलरली आ रहा हो बट हमने उसको डाल दिया सेकंड वाले ग्रुप में, तो अब वो बंदा एक्चुअली मेरी प्रॉफिट में मदद कर सकता है, बट मेरी तरफ से गलती हुई, डेटा साइंटिस्ट ने गलती कर दी और ढंग से क्वालिटी मतलब क्लस्टरिंग करी नहीं, क्वालिटी बिल्कुल पुअर है और वो प्रॉफिट बढ़ ही नहीं पा रहा कंपनी का. तो मतलब आप समझ रहे हैं, मतलब दैट इज वेयर अ डेटा साइंटिस्ट प्लेस डायरेक्टली इन द डिसीजन मेकिंग. ओके, मतलब डिसीजन मेकिंग में डेटा साइंटिस्ट का बहुत बड़ा रोल होता है, इसलिए इनकी सैलरीज जो होती है बहुत हाई होती है. आप समझ रहे हैं यहाँ पर कि क्यों इनकी सैलरीज हाई होती है, बिकॉज दे डायरेक्टली इम्पैक्ट, दे हैव अ डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट ऑन द प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी ऑफ द कंपनी. तो अगर आप उसको अच्छे से पे नहीं करोगे तो भाई वो आपको अच्छे से प्रॉफिट बना के नहीं देगा. तो ये है सारी बात और ये है सारी चीत. ठीक है भाई, तो दिस इज व्हाट क्लस्टरिंग इज ऑल अबाउट. दिस इज व्हाट अनसुपरवाइज्ड लर्निंग इज ऑल अबाउट. ठीक है, तो आई हैव गिवन यू होमवर्क. ओके, तो आप होमवर्क करोगे एंड यू विल प्रैक्टिस नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चंस व्हाट आई हैव गिवन यू. पीवाईक्यू सीरीज का वेट करो. एक बार पीवाईक्यू सीरीज आएगी तो आई थिंक वी कैन मीट सून अगेन and we'll practice other questions, okay, that have already come in the exams. ठीक है, चलिए, तो this is how I'll stop. Yeah, एमएल वेटेज सिद्धू, देखो मुझे ऐसा लगता है 2000 मैंने काफ़ी सारे एक तो यूट्यूब पे वीडियोस डाले हैं बेटा, एमएल वो डीए में हाउ टू एस योर गेट एग्जाम, एक तो आप वो देख लेना। और एमएल का मुझे ऐसा लगता है आने वाले टाइम में, मतलब इन 2026 में, आई थिंक एमएल वुड बी अराउंड 15 to 16 मार्क्स। 15 से 16 नंबर का एमएल आना चाहिए और 8 से 10 नंबर का एआई आएगा। 25 नंबर का ऑलमोस्ट ये आपका एमएल एआई मिला के आएगा, मुझे ऐसा लगता है। ओके, तो थोड़ा सा सीरियसली करो, 25 मार्क अच्छा है। मैथ्स अच्छे से कर लो, द पीपल हु आर यूजिंग, मतलब हु आर एक्चुअली फॉर डीए, मैथ्स अच्छे से करो एंड ऑल्सो डू एमएल एआई। ओके, तो दिस वुड एक्चुअली गिव यू अराउंड 60 मार्क्स। तो 55 से 60 नंबर आप यहीं पे ले आए तो भाई बहुत बड़ा वो है ना, बहुत बड़ा चीज़ हो जाएगी। तो आप एमटेक इजीली टॉप आईआईटी से कर लोगे। और एक बार आईआईटी में गए तो वहाँ पे ग्रूमिंग ऐसी होती है और पैकेज अच्छा है यार, टॉप आईआईटी का पैकेज भी अच्छा है, तो बहुत बढ़िया पैकेज आपका लगेगा। तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है 15-16 नंबर का एमएल आएगा, 8 से 10 नंबर का एआई आना चाहिए, तो 25-26 नंबर का आएगा और बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है 25-26 नंबर। तो आप मेरे साथ रहो क्रैश कोर्स में, ये आपके 25 में से 22-23 नंबर मैं पक्के करवाऊंगा आपके, ठीक है। चलो ठीक है बेटा, तो आई विल एंड हियर, थैंक यू सो मच एंड लेट अस मीट टुमारो अगेन, थैंक यू सो मच।